today's podcast. Today I have Shanto with me and we'll discuss Total Money Makeover. So the reason why we chose this book is because personal finance is a big issue in United States, right? And not just United States, anywhere where a lot of immigrants go abroad, because we are not formally being educated in personal finance. A lot of people we have seen find a lot of trouble in managing their money, right? And this book actually helps a lot, gives a lot of strategies on how to grow your money, how to manage your finances, and how to effectively and gradually get to a point of financial freedom, right? So Shanto has read this book a few years back and has been using these strategies for a while I actually came across this book pretty recently, and then we discussed and we talked about it, and then we thought of making a podcast. So Shanto, so when did you read this book, and how has this book influenced you so far? What are the things that you have caught from this book, and if you can tell us a little bit about your experience with this book.
Absolutely, Soham. I think this is a very important topic that we are discussing today. It's about personal finance. So actually, I came across this book like 5 years back when I just recently got the job. I just came out of college. I got my first job. That's when I came across this book. And even the book cover is so enticing, I would say. I thought, let me give it a try. I just wanted to read this book. And when I read it the first time, I thought this book has something which I haven't seen, which is completely out of what I have been taught up till that point. I was like 24, 25-year-old guy, but nobody taught me the things which are written in this book. When I read it the first time, then actually I went deeper into this book. I went through this book the second time, but this time I sat with a pen in my hand. Each an important point I marked it out so that it kind of became a plan for me, like a chart for me, where it can tell me where I stand, where I need to be when I'm 30, when I need to be when I'm 35. So it kind of gave me that entire plan. So that was the main reason I recommend people actually reading this book. And we also thought we will summarize this book a little bit for our viewers. What are the most important points in personal finance? So that's the reason. And that has how it has influenced me.
Awesome. That is great. So Santo, let's start with debt. Okay, so debt, as we all know, is a big problem in United States, and a lot of students actually come here with a student loan, or a lot of even the local people who are doing their undergrad or masters. So education is pretty expensive in US, and they always end up taking a lot of education loan. And or a lot of people have their credit card loan, their mortgage, and all that, right? So I came across a term, debt snowball, in this book, right? So if you can explain what debt snowball is and how people can effectively manage their debt and get out of it as soon as they can. So if you can say a little bit about that.
Yeah, that is a very good question. So first, let me directly answer your question and then I can elaborate a little bit. So debt snowball is, let's say you have X dollar of debt. You used your credit card and you have X dollar of debt and you didn't pay the debt right on time. So basically then you have to pay an interest on top of it, right? So your total pay that you need to pay to the company, your credit card company, is X plus Y. That Y is that interest amount. And again, you did not pay it. So basically then you have your interest on X plus Y, which is right now Z. So total money right now that you need to pay to the company, it's X plus Y plus Z. So like that, and if you know, I am sure many people know, the credit card companies has the highest interest. Basically the credit card companies, they charge you the highest if you do not pay them on time. So right now, so this is basically the debt snowball. So basically you started with X, just little bit time left, time went over, you did not pay it became X plus Y, and then it became X plus Y plus Z. It started to grow, right? So this is called as debt snowball. So, and if I come to your next question, which is like how internationals can manage it, I'm saying this from Dave Ramsey book, what he has recommended basically. So I explained to you what is debt snowball. So basically there are like what you can do, the first 3 steps that he has recommended in this book, you can implement those 3 steps, first 3 steps, which is, first you need to save $1,000 very fast, so that you do not, you, if any small expenses come, you can pay it by cash. Like you can just from your savings you can pay that money, so you don't have to use any credit, again a debt, to pay that thing, right? You don't need to take another debt to pay that thing. So save $1,000 very fast. So that is the number 1 point. And then, as Soham said, there are many people who has some debt because they come here to, they take loan to study in masters or whatever education. So next is your, before even you proceed to attack your debt, what he's saying is you have to prepare the battlefield first, right? You cannot directly attack your enemy. So first you saved your $1,000 first. The next what you can do is you need to finish your emergency fund. Now, what is an emergency fund? Emergency fund is like, it can be 3 months or 6 months. Like if something happens, you will not lose your sleep. Basically, if something happens to your job tomorrow, if you by any case something happens, layoff, whatever it is, you can survive for 3 to 6 months, at least 3 months for sure, because by in that 3 months time you can get another job. So 3 months you can be good. That's what he's saying. Save $1,000 first. The next one is finish your emergency fund. So once that is done, these 2 steps are like the preparing the battlefield. Now you're ready to attack the enemy, which is your debt. So you have to become razor focused to attack whatever money you get to clear your debt off. Now you are not right now thinking of anything, not your retirement fund, not your house loan. If you are not buying in a house at that time, because first step should be $1,000, then emergency fund. Basically, if anything happens, your money is going from this part, right? So you can always attack your debt, the third steps. So this is how Dave Ramsey has put together in his book. These are the 3 steps how you can attack your debt.
Okay, awesome. So you're saying that like when people take debt, there's also a lot of interest, especially in credit cards. So as our money grows through compounding, our debt also grows by compounding effect, right? So at the end of the day, if $1,000 can turn out to be $10,000, $100,000 in no time, right? So that's why it's very important to get that debt off as quickly as possible. And as you said, $1,000, save $1,000 first, set up an emergency fund, and then the next step should be attacking your debt and get rid of it as soon as possible, right? Awesome. So and as you said, the emergency fund is basically to give you a leeway, a room for 3 to 6 months for some unforeseen circumstances. Exactly. So that's great. That's great suggestion, and then that's something very nicely covered in this book. So next, let's talk about monthly budget. How to control your expenses, because you may think of clearing your debt, but if you don't end up saving money, then you won't be able to clear your debt, right? So how has Dave suggested to create a monthly budget, and what are the strategies to stick to it? And if you can say also something from your personal experience.
So first I will cover it from what Dave Ramsey said in this book. So what he has said is like, he has asked us not to use credit cards. So he said for every, like if you have a monthly budget, you need to have a monthly budget. Like you need to know this much is going to your rent, this much portion is going to your utilities. You will only cover $200 to $300. It will go to your expenses, food expenses, living expenses. So every dollar that you spend in cash, and you know where it is going. Basically, you can write it down. So today I'm spending $10 here, $20 here, $15 here, and I know it will be within this limit. So this is way which Dave Ramsey has said. Personally, I did not do it. I use credit card, but I manage it very well. I do not let it go past, like what he's saying is like, it is very true. It happens also, which when you are using credit card, you do not track it well. You can buy anything. Your credit card company will look into it. Right now, for the time being, you do, because sometimes we buy things for which we do not have the cash. But still we go and buy it because we think at this moment I need it, I have to buy it. But maybe you do not have that cash at your bank to support it. So that is the basic fundamental reason why Dave Ramsey has said it. But yes, I use credit card, but very limited number of credit cards, only two. And that too, I basically check it. I do not overspend it like that. I check it. So that's how I did it basically.
Awesome, awesome. That is great, and I have also read about that. And as long as I think what Dave has said in the book, as long as you're able to track the expense. So the reason
Exactly.
why he's asking not to use credit card is a lot of people when they have credit, they don't think of it as money, right? They think of it as something that they can, even if they don't have the money, they can buy stuff, right? That's the power that credit card gives. And as long as you're using it responsibly, that's actually a very effective tool. And I'll give you a few reasons why credit card is an effective tool. First is you have no liability on credit card. So basically what that means is if you buy something with a credit card and or let's say some fraud happens in your credit card, right? Somebody used your credit card information to buy something, you have no liability at all. All you have to do is call the credit card company and say that I have not made that expense, and definitely you will not be exploiting that, right? So as long as you have genuinely not made that expense, you won't be charged for it and you won't have any liability. So the day you say that, the next day that money will come back to your account, which is a lot different when you're using a debit card. So when you're using a debit card, you're spending your own money, right? And then you have to fight a lot to get the money back in case a fraud happens. So credit card gives us a lot of liability-free purchasing power, right? But at the same time, you have to track. You cannot just spend money, right? And also it's very important to build up a credit score in any country that you are in, right? So how you build credit score is basically by taking credit and paying it off, like in a timely fashion. So paying off your bill, paying off your credit card, utilizing just 5 to 10% of your credit limit. So these are few strategies for increasing your credit limit, and that would help a lot when people are buying a car, buying a house. So these good credit score helps you to lower your interest rate basically. So that's some of the strategies for using credit card. But let's come back to the book, and the point that I think Dave has tried to make is to not spend money that you don't have. And if you are using tools like credit card to track the expense, make sure that whatever you're buying, you would be able to pay that off, right? So that's about it. So that's very well said. How to be on a monthly budget and some strategies. So let's move on to savings, right? So Dave has talked about the concept of investing 15% of your income to retirement savings. So what's your opinion on that? And basically, is that an effective strategy? And if you can, and what are some of the options in United States for getting a tax-free income? If you can say something about that, Santha.
So I will directly come to the question you asked if what is my opinion on this. For sure, I more or less like everything that Dave Ramsey has written in this book, and I absolutely think this is the best strategy. Whatever he has planned, he has laid it down, because I said, right, I read this book twice. Even few days back I read it again a little bit because for the podcast, but it was obviously in my mind, the framework of what he has said. So I absolutely only about the credit card, which Soham and I discussed, only that part I use credit card, but the rest everything I follow him. Okay, so apart from this, let's come back to this retirement fund. So what he has said is, first you save $1,000 and then you finish the emergency fund, and then you attack the debt snowball basically. Now you have no debt. These three things are covered. Okay, so number 4 steps that you can do is you have to think about your retirement. So retirement, he said, he has recommended you place 15% of your income to the retirement fund. Okay. So now this 15%, there are 2 parts to it in United States. One is the 401k and the other is the IRA. Now the IRA part, it grows tax free. So let's say the total amount you can put in an IRA account is $6,500 for a family. Now, if you put $6,500 from the age of, let's say, 25 to 60, you just put $6,500, and he has set the interest rate as 12.5% from the stock market, like over a long period of time. So if you see, you will get around like a $1.7 million at the age of 60, that too tax free. You do not have to pay any tax on that 1.7. You just take that out. So that is what he said. If you put $6,500 every year, that is how much you will get. And the next part, the other part, component, one component is the IRA, the other component is a 401k. So 401k, the total amount including 401k and IRA is like $22,500 for a family. Now if you exclude this 6,500, so you are left with around 13,000 something, right? Or like 13,500, or like the 14,000, basically $14,000 you will be left with. So if you put that $14,000 every year, we will do some calculations also. We can show it, the calculation. If you put $14,000 and what you will get at the end of your 60 years. Okay. Now there are one more part to it. Let's say $22,500, somebody at the age of 25, he starts putting the entire $22,500 into his retirement account, which, by the way, Dave Ramsey has said you need to put 15% of your income, right? But I'm just saying, let's say somebody is able to put $22,500 at the age of 25, and then he puts it up till 35. He puts $2,500 from age 25 to 35, and then he stopped putting any other dollar into it. So from 35 to 60, it just grew, it just started growing by its own. And there is another guy who's put money, he started putting money from the age of 35 itself, and then he put money for the next 25 years, complete $22,500. We will still see the first guy who just put in money for the first 10 years, and then he stopped putting any other dollar in it, has grown more money than the other guy who has put $22,500 for 25 years. So basically, this is how compounding works. You need to start early. You need to use these funds, 401k, IRA, at a very young age, and it's better you know these tools, you know this financial planning when you are a student, so that when you just get your first job, your first income, you immediately start implementing it. So because I started it, I mean, when I just came out of college, luckily I got this book. No one told me there is something called 401k, IRA, and all these things. Debt Snowball. What is a debt snowball? Luckily I got this book, and this has given me a roadmap on how personal finances should work. Maybe you do not, if you cannot reach the 100%, but at least if you reach even 80% of what he said, that will also help you a lot. You will have a lot of peace of mind.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely, and very well said on how compounding works, and as you can see from the calculation as well that we showed, that if you start early, even if you are contributing a much lower amount initially, that will grow to a lot 20-30 years down the line. And if you start late, you have to compensate that time by investing a lot more money, right? So that's basically the concept of compound interest. And the retirement funds that Santa talked about, first of all, is the 401k and the IRA, right? The Roth IRA that people talk about. So basically, when to use 401k, when to use Roth IRA, right? So first is the IRA, Roth IRA, that gives you a tax-free income, right? Like tax-free savings account, basically. So what that means is whatever the money grows, that amount you can withdraw without paying any tax, right? But whereas the 401k is basically you are deferring your tax. So when you use 401k, suppose you are going into, your income is reaching a tax bracket, which let's say is 20% tax, 25% tax, right? So rather than paying the 25% tax at that point, you're reducing your taxable income, let's say to a lower bracket, right? So let's say if you invest $10,000, that will lower your tax bracket. So you're not paying 20% tax on that $10,000. Rather, you're investing in it in an account. And the thing is, when that money grows and when you try to withdraw it, that will become your taxable income. So if you, so again, there's another calculation that we are showing. How much money you can save on your taxes and how much that tax saving would grow if you put it in a IRA, right? So that will again grow tax free. So the concept is, the value of $1 today is a lot more 30 years down the line. So if you are able to save $1 today, that will amount to like 10, 15, $20, like 20, 30 times the money 10 to 20 years down the line. So start saving as soon as you can and as early as possible, right? So that's that. And so how do you think people should, because I think mortgage is one of the biggest loans, that like mortgage for your house, right? That is one of the biggest amount of loan that people take. So what does Dave Ramsey say in clearing mortgage and how to handle basically mortgage debt? If you can say something about that too.
Yes, so he has definitely said about mortgage, but before that, there is one more step that he talked about. So basically, first you do. So I will also explain that step also, because that is a very important step. These are like 7-8 points. All are like pillars you need to know. So first is 15% of your income. It goes to the retirement fund, and then if you have a college education to bear, like if you have a kid, he just born. So what you can do for your college, for the kids' college education as well. There are many people who say that kids' college education, the kid should bear it. But Dave Ramsey had showed a path where you can, as a parent, also support your kids' education in college. So there is a way out for it. Let's say your kid is like just born from 0 to 18 years old. There is a ESA, education savings account, which is education savings account, which the US government gives basically. So you can put your money on ESA. Basically, you have to put $2,000 every year, $2,000 every year. And by the time 18 years, like 18 years later, if it grows, it will be around like $128,000. You will get around one, and that is also tax free. You because that is out of the tax bracket. You just can pull out that $128,000 for your college education, kids' college education. So this is a number. The next step after retirement fund, and then you come out. Your question is about the mortgage. So after that, let me come to the mortgage point. So once that is done, your kids' college education is covered. Now you have to become every penny, every dollar that you have after your living expenses, retirement, and kids' college education should go towards eliminating your mortgage loan. That is the first thing that he has said in this book. Basically, I will exactly tell what is the line he said. Actually, the line influenced me a lot. He said every dollar in your budget that you find above living, retirement, and college should be used to make extra payments for your home. And very important, another point, that he said that take a loan of 15 years fixed rate loan instead of 30 years. And he showed the calculation. You can save around like 200,000 or 150,000 depending on your home price minimum if you take a 15-year rate loan instead of a 30 years rate loan. Okay, and he has said to take a 15-year fixed rate loan. It should not be flexible. It should be fixed, so that if you will at least know exactly how much you need to pay. Because of inflation and other factors, the bank will not say it is tomorrow you have to pay this much amount, which is much more percent than what you are initially negotiated it with, right? So these are the two things. And then the third point about mortgage loan, he said also you need to make sure that you should, like the loan amount that you pay for your mortgage should not exceed 25% of your take home income. So it should not exceed, because otherwise you will find your living little bit stretched, right? Because 15% you are giving in retirement, 25%, so basically 40% is gone, right? And now 60% you have. So then we can play that around with that 60%. Okay, so this is the point about mortgage.
Okay, awesome. So basically what he has said is to whatever extra dollar that you're making, you are trying to put that into the house mortgage, so that you can get out of the debt as soon as possible, and to take a fixed rate loan. Usually, like in Canada, fixed rates are for 5 years, so you cannot take more than 5 year fixed rate, and I think that's true for US as well. But at least for the next
No,
5 years,
sure.
you are not that much tensed that what is the effect of, because at least like from 2020 to 2023 the rate of
Hmm.
inflation has gone up a lot, right? And the federal interest rates have gone up as well. So it's almost 5.5% at this point in Canada, and then I'm not sure how much that is in US. But somebody who has taken a fixed rate loan in 2020 would not have to go through this much fluctuation, right?
Hmm.
And people can also go with a variable rate. So usually what most people say is, when the interest rates are high, already high, for example now, it's better to go with the variable rates, because at some point it's going to go down. But when the interest rates are low, it's better to go with the fixed rates, so that you don't have to bear the higher or the fluctuation in the market, basically. But that's a very good concept of paying off the debt sooner, and everything compounds, right? So if you have money now, if you pay that to your mortgage, you will save that much of compounding of that money. And especially if you pay off the principal, because a lot of your payments actually would initially go to the interest, but your objective should be to lower the principal. That's what it is. And any extra payment that you make would go into the principal and not your interest. So that's how the amount would go down. So that's some very, very useful and interesting points covered by Dave Ramsey in the book. Any so if you talk about your personal example, how much has it influenced you, and how many strategies have you implemented effectively?
So yeah, I have almost implemented all the points that Dave Ramsey has said, like save $1,000 first, the debt. I do not have any debt today. The finish the emergency fund. I have a 3 to 6 months emergency fund. The maximum retirement investing, which is 15%. So right now, what I actually was initially doing when I was like 25 years old, so I wasn't able to put the entire 15% because my income was not that good at that time. So I was like putting around 10 to 11% around that time to make my living comfortable. But right now, to compensate that, basically I am actually investing even more than 15%. I am investing around 22%, like that, because I just want to put exactly the entire $22,500 in my retirement every year. So that is what I'm trying to do right now, because I'm still like 30 years, so I have time to make it grow. But that was the next. And then the ESA, I do not have a kid, so that doesn't implement for me right now. I mean, but at least I know it. There is a ESA fund which we can put the $2,000
Tax free.
tax free. And then the house. So that little bit is a dicey subject for international students, because we do not have a green card, so we have to think like that. So that you can think actually in a different way, which I did. I bought a house not in United States, I bought a house in India, and I am paying my money towards that, basically apartment in India that I bought. And so you have to kind of, if you want to take a little bit more risk, then it's better you can buy the house in United States. But you'd never know, if you lose your job, you have only 2 months to find a job. I mean, the house can be a burden for you, for internationals who do not have a green card, right? So there are some topics I think that's going, it might extend to 6 months. The 2 months period might extend to 6 months. USCIS is planning to do it. If it happens, then I think it is okay. It's better. It is fine at that time if you go with buying a house in the United States. But it depends on your risk appetite and how you look at it. So that is the next. And yeah, so this one, my house in India, that which I bought, it's not paid fully yet. So it's still in the process, basically. And after that is done, then there is a last step, which let me tell to Soham. So what Dave Ramsey has said is, after that you can build wealth like crazy. Basically, use what he has said. You don't have to go for stock investing or whatever. You use simple mutual funds and debt-free real estate as investment mix. You can simply mix those two and try to grow your wealth. But if you are more ambitious, you want to explore more, then you can actually go for like SPY, which is 500, or like equivalent index fund. But if you are more ambitious, you want to explore more, then you can go for index funding. That is one option. And if you want to take a little more risks, then you can go for with individual stock picking. But that is also, we have other separate books to cover that. Like if you want to grow your money like that, maybe the uh,
Intelligent
the
investor.
intelligent investor, exactly, thank you so much. I was forgetting the name. So there they talk about exact stock picking and how much percent you should have in index funding, and how much percent, because that also should be balanced basically. According to intelligent investor, they are not recommending you put like the entire 100% in stocks, but still. So you can that is a different topic which we can maybe go in another video. But for this video, according to
Yeah.
Dave Ramsey, if you use simple mutual funds and debt-free real estate as investment mix, I think he says you will be ultra fit financially after that when everything is paid.
Awesome, awesome. So very well said, and that was the last step basically. So whenever your house or any other mortgage is paid off, you can invest the extra money basically to be financially ultra free. So you can use mutual funds, you can use debt free mortgages, buying a second home, investment property, and stuff like that. You can go with individual stock picking, that requires some effort to especially to beat the market average, right? You can individually pick stocks and they can perform very poorly, right? But the objective is not that. Objective is to outperform the market, and if you don't want to take a risk, mutual funds and index funds like S&P 500, and there are other index funds that are basically taking into account all the international markets as well. So you will find index funds like that too, which cover emerging economies, right? So economies like India, and even you can cover economies like Europe, which like India, for example, grows bit faster, or has a higher growth rate than US, right, or Canada, right? Because these are like developed economies. So you can have a balanced portfolio basically, and if you are confident, if you know everything, if you already researched and everything, then you can also go with individual stock picking. But I think that's very well summarized. So basically you have your emergency fund. You save $1,000 first, set up an emergency fund, keep that in hand, then you go for investing for your retirement. 15% of your income you invest for retirement, have a separate retirement account for that. Then you get a mortgage, basically try to pay it off within 15 years. Any extra money, invest on that. If you have a kid, set up a education fund for your kid, which are tax-free saving account basically. And then once everything is done, invest the remaining money on mutual funds and other growth assets so that your money can grow. So I think that's
So
basically the summary. If you want to add
So
anything,
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
one quick point. I'm not sure, like between the saving the $1,000 fund and the funding your emergency fund, like 3 to 6 months, the between the two, the debt snowball which you need to attack, it comes. Because I'm not sure if I said in the beginning the debt snowball should, I think I said the emergency fund comes before, that step comes before the debt snowball. But now
Yeah,
I again see it. So basically, after you pay the save $1,000 first, then you need to become razor focused,
debt,
sharp
right? Yeah,
mind on your. You need to attack on your debt. After that, you can go for your 3 to 6 months
right, right.
savings for
Sorry,
emergency.
yeah, I missed that. So you have to be debt free, basically.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as possible, get rid of your debt. If you're like, you can avoid using credit card, as Dave Ramsey said, but at the same time, if you are using your credit card, use it responsibly. Just think of it as a debit card. Never spend more than what you have, and don't go into a debt basically. So if you're spending some money, clear it off within a month so that it doesn't become a debt. And if you have a debt like an education loan or anything, then you can just try to get rid of it first. That's the very first step, right? So yeah, that's awesome, and thank you, Shanto, for all your inputs.
Thank to
If you
you too.
want, do you, like, if you have something else to add, you can add, or we can just call it a day.
Yeah, I think we have kind of covered it end to end. This book, what are the steps? So I think we are good. And
Awesome.
for our viewers, if if you like this video, the kind of videos we are making, the kind of efforts we are putting, so we also would request you to like this video, and like and share this video, and subscribe to our channel. So we
Exactly.
make more interesting content, more useful content, which will be beneficial to your life. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Like if you like the video, do subscribe to our channel. And if you have any comments, please feel free to write it down. If you have any suggestion, anything you would like us to, cover in our next session, feel free to put it in the comment section. So thank you, and we'll see you in our next video. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. See you.